If only every husband was so fondly remembered by his ex-wife. You're watching Beyond the Trailer's review of The Theory of Everything.
It's called motor neuron disease. Life expectancy is 2 years.
I want us to be together for as long as we've got.
It'll affect everything.
You don't realize what lies ahead. This is going to be a very heavy defeat.
But I love him. And he loves me. We're going to fight this illness together.
Then again, Stephen Hawking is no ordinary husband, both in terms of his contributions to the world and the life of his first wife, Jane. With that last one, it wasn't all good, and while some of the bad obviously couldn't be helped, some of it could. Now, The Theory of Everything is based on Jane's memoir, Traveling to Infinity, My Life with Stephen. She can't spell, by the way. The British have 2 L's in traveling. And interestingly, this is being marketed as a romantic film. But what kind of romantic film ends in divorce? A realistic one? Stephen Hawking made a career out of revealing the hard truths of the universe, so why shouldn't his ex-wife do the same with the hard truths in our own personal universes? Stephen and Jane were married for 30 years, and she was with him for the bulk of his accomplishments, both in terms of battling motor neuron disease and scientific theory. In fact, you could say that Jane Hawking is personification of the old saying that behind every great man is a great woman. But does she get a Wikipedia page? Nope. Although now she does get a movie. Kind of. Once again, she'll find herself competing with Stephen for attention, as Felicity Jones must compete to make an impression against the more complex role Eddie Redmayne gets to play. Jones and Redmayne are both up-and-coming UK talent, although of course he's the one with Oscar buzz for this film. And screenwriter Anthony McCartan was already looking to do a film about Stephen Hawking when he came across Jane's memoir and thought it would make a good angle on Stephen. Plus, while documentary filmmaker James Marsh has vowed to strive for authenticity with this film, when researching and discussing it, his focus has largely fallen on Stephen Hawking. Is Jane Hawking's story really just her husband's? The trailer seems to say so, but we'll have to see what the actual movie decides.
Man, the best actor race this year is going to be ridiculously competitive. And I have to say to the likes of Tom Hardy and Benedict Cumberbatch, you don't have forever to capitalize on your initial heat, but in reality just a small window until the next big thing comes along, like Eddie Redmayne. Now, fittingly, there are no words to truly do his performance here justice, but I'll try. I would say that Eddie Redmayne captures Stephen Hawking so perfectly, both physically and emotionally, that you actually forget that you're watching an actor give a performance. You feel like you're watching the real Stephen Hawking. Now, as for the film itself, I asked 2 questions of it in the open, so let's answer them. The first is, what kind of romantic movie ends in divorce? Well, having now seen the romantic movie in question, I can tell you a very special and unique one. Let's say that the romance in fairy tales is religion. Then that makes the romance presented here atheism. And I think that in all of us, there's a little bit of religion and a little bit of atheism, just like in the Hawkings as a couple, and that best describes the movie here. Now, I'll go even further. I would say, without giving anything away, that The Theory of Everything is the most sophisticated and honest portrayal I think I've seen of love yet. It really is Jane Hawking's companion piece to her husband dispelling the mysteries of the universe. I think it's that profound. I will say one thing, though. I don't want to give anything away because there are so many melodramatic twists in the film, but if Charlie Cox gives off this much heat in the Daredevil series, well, that show's going to do very well. Now, the second question was if this was just Stephen's story, if Jane was represented, if a wife's story is really just her husband's. And I would say for the first third of the film, that is unfortunately the case. And I think that if The Theory of Everything had done a better job running a dual path and really showing the side truly from both the story, from both sides of the story, it would be more of an Oscar contender beyond Redmayne's performance. Right now, that's clearly its best Oscar shot. I wouldn't put it past getting any nominations, but I don't think it's strong enough to win in those categories based on my opinion of the film and what else is out there. The second two-thirds, the second and third two-thirds of the film, they do a better job, showing an even-handed approach to the marriage. But again, at the beginning, it really is just Stephen's story. And I can understand that because it's such a fascinating story, but I think a more disciplined writer who truly understood what they were writing here, except the end scene is just brilliant. But if they truly understood the whole scope of it, you would have a little bit more of a special movie. But I think how Jane is portrayed is very good, and I think that Felicity Jones as an actress does the best she can with what she's given. Now, just because this isn't a perfect movie doesn't mean it's not a very, very, very good movie. And I highly recommend that you see it in theaters. Not just because it's going to be a big part of the awards conversation, but for Eddie Redmayne's performance, which is truly spectacular, something you should not miss seeing, but also for the profound things that this movie has to say about love. It is a romance, but also life in general. I think it's actually an important film to see because I think it gives you a perspective on love that is not popular because it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's very, very true. And I think maybe if more people had this orientation, maybe there wouldn't be just quite so much heartache in the world. It's a really beautiful, breathtaking film. I wish it were perfect. It's not, but it's still very much worth your time. So thank you so much for tuning into my review. If you've seen The Theory of Everything, please leave your own thoughts down below, and you can check out some more episodes right now.